Hello everyone, welcome back to the series of Pandas. In my previous video, I have already discussed on extracting data from subset of a data frame and descriptive statistics in Pandas. In this video, we will discuss on applying functions on a subset of a data frame. Let's get started. Applying function on a column of a data frame. So in order to apply a function in a data frame, we need to follow this syntax. That is, we need to use the data frame object and the column name in the square brackets along with the function name. So this is the proper syntax how to apply function in a data frame. In order to access the data frame, we need to follow this syntax, and in order to access the function of a data frame, in order to apply the function in a data frame, we need to follow this syntax. Let us understand this better with an example. We have this COVID-19 data, as you can see, and we are also printing the data frame object. So let's say if I need to access this total case column, what I need to do is I need to pass the total case in the square brackets. Let us pass the total cases in the square brackets in order to access the total case column. So this way we will be able to access the total cases column. Let us print this data. As you can see, we are able to access the total cases column, and we are also able to print this data. So let's say if I need to find the minimum value from this total case, what I need to do is I need to use the dot notation along with the function. So the function that will be used to calculate the mean is the min function. So this function will be used to calculate the minimum value. Let us execute this code. So you can see 3588 is the minimum value among all the total cases. I hope this is clear. Let us move ahead to the next syntax. So in this example, we will try to apply function on multiple columns of a data frame. So in order to apply functions on multiple columns, the point that is to be noted is we need to use the square brackets, that is two square brackets, and we need to pass the multiple column using a comma. So if we need to calculate the minimum of two columns, what we need to do is we need to write the first column or the name of the first column, and then use a comma and the name of the second column, and then we need to close that along with the square brackets, and we need to use the dot notation along with the function name. Let's say in our case, in order to calculate the minimum value, we will use the main function. Let us understand this better with an example. In this example, as you can see, we have already used the total case, and we have used the total case to find the minimum value. So let's say if we need to find the minimum value of total cases and death, what we need to do is we will pass the two column in a square bracket in both the square brackets, and we will use the comma, and we will pass the name of the second column. In our case, the name of the second column is death. Let us execute this code in order to understand better. So as soon as I execute the code, you can see the minimum value of total cases gets printed, and the minimum value of death also gets printed. So this way we will be able to use multiple columns, and we will be able to use the multiple columns to find the minimum value. I hope this is clear. So let us move ahead to the next example. In this example, we will try to apply function on a row of data frame. So in order to apply function on a row of data frame, we will use the data frame object along with the dot notation and the LOC array. And in the LOC array, we will pass the first parameter, that is the row index, and we will keep the second parameter to be as blank. Again, we will use the dot notation and the function name. So this way we can use, or this way you can apply the function to a particular row index number of a data frame. Let us understand this better with an example. In this dataset, as you can see, I have age and marks of some students, and I have passed this dataset in the data frame. Let's say if I need to calculate the minimum value from the first row, what I need to do is I need to use the data frame object and the dot LOC array. Let us print this data frame in order to understand it better. Now let's say if I need to get the minimum value from this first row, So what I need to do is I need to use the dot LOC array along with the main function, and to pass the first index number or the first row index. In my case, I'm going to get the minimum value from the first row. So the first row index is 0. So I will use the 0, and I will keep the second parameter to be as blank. And what I will do is I will use the main function in order to calculate the minimum. So this way I will be able to get the minimum value from the first row of this data frame. As you can see, the minimum value from this first row is 10. Now let's say if I need to calculate the minimum value from the second row. So what I need to do is I need to simply use the second index or the second row index. So you can see I got the minimum value from the second row. I hope this example is clear. So let us move ahead to the next example. In this example, we will try to learn how to apply function on a row or column range of a data frame. Here we will be applying the function in a column or row range. So in order to apply the function in a row range, we need to follow this syntax. That is, we need to use the LOC array along with the data frame, and we need to set the row range. So the starting row and the end row, and we need to keep the second parameter to be as blank since we are only applying the function in the row range. So this is the syntax to apply the function in the row range. And if we need to apply the function in the column range, we need to follow this particular syntax. That is, we need to pass the first parameter as blank and we need to keep the second parameter, that is the column range. I hope the syntax is clear. Let us understand this better with an example. Now let's say from this dataset I need to calculate the minimum value from the first two rows. So in order to calculate the minimum value from the first two rows, what I need to do is I need to pass the row range. Since the first row index is 0 and the second row index is 1, so I need to pass this range. So let us pass this range. What we will do is we will use the first row index number and we will use the second index number. Since as per as the syntax, what we know is we have to pass the starting index on the starting row and the end index. So this is our starting index, that is 0, and we need to go to 1. So we will use a column, and this is our end index. So what it will do is it will calculate the minimum value from each and every column from row 0 and 1. So as you can see from the first column, that is age, from the row 0 and 1 the minimum value is 10, and from the second column, that is marks, the minimum value is 70. So the output should be 10 and 70. Let us execute this code in order to understand it better. As you can see, from the age the minimum value is 10 and from the marks the minimum value is 70. The calculation has been done only in the first two rows. That is, the minimum has been calculated in the first two rows, that is 0 and 1. I hope this example is clear. Let us move ahead to the next example. In this dataset, as you can see, we have columns class, age, marks 1 and marks 2. Now let's say if we need to calculate the minimum value from age to marks 1. So in this case we will use the LOC array and we will just pass the second parameter, that is the column range. We will put the first range as age and we will put the second range to be as marks 1. Let us execute this code in order to understand better. As we can see that we have the minimum value from age column and we have also the minimum value from marks 1. That is, the minimum value has been calculated in between this two range. Now let's see if we need to calculate the minimum value from age to marks 2. What we need to do is we need to pass the range starting from age and we will just update it to marks 2. Let us execute this code in order to understand this better. As you can see, the minimum value from three columns has been calculated, that is age, marks 1 and marks 2. I hope this example is clear. So let us move ahead to the next example. In this example, what we will do is we will apply function to a subset of a data frame. So that is, we will pass the row range as well as we will pass the column range. So let us understand this with an example. In this dataset, as you can see, we have columns class, age, marks 1 and marks 2, and here we have rows index of 0, 1, 2 and 3. Now let's see if I need to calculate the minimum value of row starting from 0 to 1 and column starting from age to marks 2. So what I need to do is I need to pass the first parameter, that is the row range, as 0 to 1, and I need to pass the second parameter, that is from age to marks 2. So this way I will be able to calculate the minimum value from row 0 to 1 and column age, marks 1 and marks 2. Let us execute this code in order to understand better. As you can see, this is the output. The minimum value from column age is 10 of row 0 and 1, and the minimum value from marks 1 is 70 from column 0 and 1 once again, and the minimum value from marks 2 is 72 from row 0 and 1. I hope this example is clear. So this was all about applying functions to a subset of a data frame. We'll understand the upcoming modules of Python Pandas in my next video.